Hi guys, how you doing today? As Ms. Sisto mentioned, my name is Dan, and Jim is the other naturalist who's going to be coming out here too. And I came by today to tell you guys a little bit about a cool group of birds. I think it's a cool group of birds called raptors. And let me ask you guys, have you ever heard of raptors before? Yeah. Ever heard the word? Do you guys know what raptors are? Yeah, birds that eat meat, right. There's a team called the Raptors, but those aren't what we're talking about. We're not talking about the dinosaurs. We're talking about the birds called raptors. And those dinosaurs that you hear about and these birds that are alive right now are both called raptors for the same reason, because raptor is an old word that means to grab with your feet. This is a raptor foot. This is a red-tailed hawk's foot. And something those dinosaurs millions of years ago and these birds today both do is they grab and kill things with their feet. As you may notice, there's some pretty big claws at the tips of these toes. We call those talons. And most raptors use their feet to actually catch and kill the animals that they're going to be eating. I'm going to pass this around. You guys can touch this. It's the real thing. It's been cleaned off. You don't have to touch it if you don't want to. Pass it along. It's a real red-tailed hawk's foot. I'm going to also show you a great horned owl's foot. You'll notice that this foot has feathers that go down all the way to the toes. It feels kind of almost fur-like, if you want to feel that. Now, these are from the real animal, but they've been cleaned off, and basically they're like mummified feet is what they are. It's the same sort of thing. Another thing that raptors all have in common is that they have a beak, which is a very sharp, curved mouth part. This is the skull of a great horned owl, and they use that curved, sharp beak in order to tear off pieces of flesh. Birds don't have teeth like we do, so they can't chew. So when an owl, for instance, catches a rabbit at night, it's going to have to tear pieces off with this and then swallow those pieces as is. Now, I'd like to bring out our first special guest, and the first bird that we're going to bring out is an American kestrel. What I ask of you guys, because this is a wild bird, is that you don't yell or scream or anything like that. It may try and fly away. It can't get away from Jim, okay? It has little leashes on both of its legs, so it cannot get away. It may scream or poop or something like that. It's a wild animal. It does what it wants, when it wants, okay? So if you guys could just do that and the bird stays calm, we can keep it out for a while. So I'm going to let Jim walk around a little bit with the American kestrel so you can see her up close. The American kestrel is a falcon, and falcons are raptors that are unique in that they have very kind of long, thin wings compared to their body size, and very long, thin tail feathers too. And these long, thin tail feathers and wings allow falcons to fly very quickly. Falcons are kind of like the F-16s of the bird world. They can maneuver very quickly and move very quickly in the sky. Now, the American kestrel is the smallest falcon in the United States. One of the things that she can do that, actually she can't do it anymore, but a lot of things something that a kestrel can do in the wild that a lot of birds can't do is hover. So you oftentimes will see a kestrel in the wild fly off from a tree over a grassy open area, and then it'll kind of just stop in one spot in the air and just move its wings a little bit, hover, stay in one spot, and it'll be looking down at the ground, and it'll use its eyes, which are about 7 times better than our eyes. They kind of have like built-in binoculars in their eyes. They have really fantastic eyesight. And they'll look down for some movement below them, like a grasshopper or a mouse or something in the grass below them. And then when they get a fix on it, when they focus their eyesight on it, then they'll swoop down very quickly and catch it with their feet. Now, if you'll notice, speaking of the ability to focus and their eyesight, Jim's going to move her body up and down. And if she plays along, you might notice She can keep her head in one spot. Did you notice that? She can keep her head in exactly one spot if she's focused on something in the distance, even when her body is moving around in different directions. And that's something that a kestrel or any bird of prey really needs to be able to do, because think about it, they're flying through the air, sometimes very quickly. They might be moving left, moving right, moving up, moving down, but they still have to stay focused on that mouse they're trying to catch, which may also be running, for its life as fast as it can, dodging up and down and around in the grass below them. So that's a good adaptation to have. Now, this particular kestrel lives with us at Trailside Museum because it has a wing disability. That's why I said before she can't hover. A wild kestrel that had the use of both wings would be able to hover. She unfortunately can't do that anymore. If you look at her right wing, or the one that's kind of facing left, the one that's closest to Jim, see how it's kind of stuck out at a strange angle a little bit? She can't fold her right wing all the way back anymore like she can the other wing. That's because some years ago she had an injury where she broke some of the bones in that wing, and they healed up, so she's in good health overall, but they didn't heal up quite right, and she can't really use that wing fully anymore. So this is a bird that we couldn't ever release back into the wild because she wouldn't be able to hunt and feed herself anymore, and she wouldn't be able to fly away from danger either. So we take care of her. We provide her with food and shelter and veterinary care. She's got a doctor that checks up on her and all that sort of thing. And in return for that, she does us this little service of coming out to classrooms once in a while and letting people see her up close. Does anybody have any questions about kestrels or about anything? Okay. Now, what's it?
Gender difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, one of the things I really like about kestrels in particular is they're a species that's beautiful and can do some amazing things, and yet they're not from a faraway land, they're not exotic. They're a bird that lives right here in the Chicago area. They're our neighbors, basically. And one of the reasons why we find them right here in the Chicago area is because we have mice and grasshoppers and all the things that they would need to eat. Another reason is that they're able to lay their eggs and make their nest in any sort of hole in like a human building or something like that. They've learned how to do this. Before there were human beings in this area, or before there was a big city at least, there were kestrels, and they would lay their eggs in a hole in a tree or something like that. But they've learned, as we've built this city here, that if there's a hole in somebody's attic or, in a utility pole, they can use that to lay their eggs, and everything works out just fine too. Something else that's kind of neat about kestrels is that you can tell the difference between the boys and the girls, males and females, just by looking at the color of their feathers. In many of the birds of prey, if you just look at them, they look the same, whether they're male or female. But kestrels have what we call sexual dimorphism. That means you can tell just by looking at them the difference. And with her, if you look at her back, you'll notice she has kind of brown and black stripes all the way down from her neck to her tail feathers. Female kestrels always have that. If this were a male kestrel, we would know the difference right away because it would have sort of that grayish blue color that she has only on her head all the way down its back, and it would have black and white stripes on the tail instead. So you can tell the difference between males and females.